just let me know if you can't hear me or anything. So today I'm gonna share a bit about my past experience as well as my ideal for education that our generation needs. But before I share anything, I wanted to ask all of you a question. What is your passion? Think about it, because we have people from many different countries. What is the thing that you enjoy doing so much that you would even forgot eating and sleeping? You doing it not for money, not for recognition from other people, but just for the joy of doing it. Think about this. So now I'm gonna share a story of how I find my passion. By the way, I see there's some weird lines on the screen. I don't know who is like writing it, but it's fine. So a story of how I find my passion. So another question. If I ask you to draw a picture to answer this question, what is your life? What would you draw? Think about this. You can type the answer in the chat box if you want. So I'm gonna share a few drawings that I've collected over the world just by ordinary people who by chance, by accident, they just ran into me on the street. I asked them to draw and they draw. So first this. So I'm sure there's many people here who speak Spanish. So this is a drawing I collected in Mexico City. So that's a question. What occupation do you think the person who created this is? Think about this for a bit, and I'll share about his story later. This is a drawing I collected in San Francisco. So my question for this is, why do you think this person draw some food? This is like an egg. It's like a cup of water, and this is like, I think, a bread or a head or whatever. I asked him to draw the meaning of life, but he draw food. Why? Is he a foodie, or there's more story behind? Next, this drawing. So this drawing comes from Afghanistan. My question with this is, why do you think this person draw all the figures, all the small people in the color of red? Not other color, but red. I'm gonna share her story later. And this drawing. This drawing is also from Afghanistan. And what emotion do you think this drawing is trying to convey? So think about all those questions, and I'm gonna start to share the story. So it all starts from January 2018. I went to this country. Do you guys know which country it is? I don't know whether actually there's people from Mexico. Okay. Yeah, Mexico. Okay, now I can see the chat box. That's great. Okay, cool. So Mexico. Yes. So I watched this movie. I'm sure many people have watched this movie before. But that was actually the first time after watching this movie, I got to know this tradition of the Day of the Dead. It touched me so much. And the reason is that 3 months before the launch of this movie, my grandpa passed away, and he's like the closest family member I have. So I was really sad. I can't really deal with, the pain of losing him. Until I saw this movie, I was like, wow, there is a culture trying to understand the concept of death, not from such a pessimistic way, but from kind of a positive way, or at least a thorough way to understand what death means. And, as long as you don't forget that person, he will come back every year. So I thought that's such a magic way to look at, such a sad concept of death. So I was like, I want to go to this place. And I was in San Francisco, so I was pretty, close to where Mexico is. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just fly there. So I bought the ticket. I traveled there a bit, and I remember the kind of like the last 3 days of the trip there, I went here. So as you can see, Museo Frida Kahlo. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who know Frida Kahlo. And for people who don't know her, so she is a pretty famous artist from Mexico. And the importance of her in the Mexican people's mind is like, if you have a banknote of 500 peso in Mexico, it's her image there. So you can see her on the banknotes. For your information, the image on the banknote of China, the renminbi, the RMB, is our President Mao. So you know the importance of her. So I went to her museum. So this is a museum. This is also her um, old house when she was still alive. And I walked around until I saw this painting. So as you can see, this is a watermelon painting. Reads Viva la Vida. I'm sure you know what Viva la Vida means in Spanish. Is live long, live life, right? So it was like winter, but because Mexico it's a tropical country, so it's not really cold. It's actually a bit hot. And when I saw this painting, I kind of like stopped in front of it. I was a bit, how to say it, like shocked, or not that much, but more like I was touched by it. If you can really see this original painting instead of in front of the screen, the painting itself is really vivid. It's really colorful, and I kind of feel I have a feeling of summer after seeing it. So I was like, I want to understand more about this painting. So I opened the audio guide. I tried to understand the story. And from the audio guide, it tells that this whole painting was finished this 8 days before Frida Kahlo's death. So she was drawing it at the same time she's going to die very soon. She was on the bed. She was like in the hospital all the time. So I was like, I remember, 8 days before my grandpa died, he was like hardly able to do anything. Like he was so weak, he was so vulnerable. And how can a person who is going to pass away so soon can paint some things, in such a colorful and vivid way? So I was like, who is this person? So I tried to understand her story. So as you can see, this is Frida Kahlo, and as many of you may have already know that she suffered from a lot of pain, through her childhood. She had a car accident, and after that, it has been a long time. She can't even walk, and then she got she was pregnant, but in the end, she can't really have a child. And she married to one of the very famous muralists in Mexico. But they divorced and they remarry again. So throughout her life, there's a lot of pain, but the way she treated pain, she used art to kind of channel all her feelings into love and into vitality. So I was like, wow, it sounds like, art connects Frida Kahlo and her own life. So at the same time, I also wanted to understand, what does life mean to Frida Kahlo, and what does life mean to anyone who is alive in the world? So I was like, I wanted to understand people's story behind their life philosophy, but at the same time, I can't speak Spanish. I only speak Chinese and English. So I was like, yeah, maybe I can ask people to draw something. So that night, going back home, I go into a stationery store and all these things. I tried to make a poster, but I can't even draw. So in the end, I make a presentation about Frida Kahlo, and
Sorry, Miss Louis, I think that you're having some internet issues. We kind of lost you for a second. Oh, she lost the connection, right? Okay.
Yes.
I think that she lost the internet connection. Sorry. So could anyone please
Uh,
let her know?
just let's wait until she gets back, please. Don't leave the meeting, guys. Okay? She will continue with her conference. Okay, so Just let's wait for a couple of minutes. I also gonna talk to them. Okay. Hello, Jolene. Hello. Hey, Jolene. Sorry. Uh, hello, Jolene. Can you hear me? Yeah, she lost the connection. Okay, okay. She's getting back. Okay, okay, perfect.
Hello guys,
Okay,
could you
thank
hear
you.
me? Sorry, I was kicked out by
Okay,
Zoom.
thank you, Jolene.
I didn't understand why. Maybe Zoom was too excited saying Frida Kahlo too. Can you actually enable me to share my screen again?
Okay. Yes.
If next time I'm kicked out by Zoom again, maybe you can play the song of Viva la Vida. So, you know, there's something people can actually do.
Yes, sure. I mean, I forgot to introduce myself to you, but my name is Ariadna Martinez, and I am actually from Mexico. I actually live nearby
Ah,
Frida Kahlo's house, so I'm super
and
familiar with that.
Mexico so much.
Yes, I kind of feel the connection, and it's super excited. I feel proud of my culture, and and yes, it was a surprise. It couldn't be more accurate that I am, presenting you and everything and moderating this conference. Couldn't be more accurate.
Yeah, such a serendipity. I actually rewatched the movie Coco last night. Just because I know I'm gonna talk about it today, so I actually rewatched it. I guess besides all the Mexican culture, I miss the Mexican food a lot, like the taco, quesadilla. I don't know, like tamales, like everything. Anyways, so going back to the presentation. So I went back to Frida Kahlo's museum. I sit in front of the museum. I asked all the strangers to sit down with me together to draw a picture and answer a question. What is your life? As to Vida, I guess. So that day I sat in front of the museum for almost 3 hours, and there were actually 70 people, 70, who sat down and draw their life. So those are some of their drawings. You can see some are very simple, some are a bit more complicated. You know what life is, the beauty, the ugly. So it's all very interesting. You know, there's a real life, a soul behind each drawing. So I was pretty amazed by people's creativity. So I met this guy at almost the end of my street experiment. He came to me. He doesn't speak any English, so we tried to talk to each other by Google Translate. So he was very shy. He was like, what can I do? So I tried to explain him, draw something about your life. So he took the paper. He sat down in the corner and start drawing. It took him almost 1 hour to finish. I was almost, losing my patience. But in the end, he handed over his drawing to me. It's this. So, I showed this at the very beginning. I was totally shocked because I didn't imagine, such a shy and, look very ordinary person who has such a wild, heart, a wild mind. I guess people who understand Spanish, amor is love, and then there's like trabajar, work, there's like energy, vibration, even LSD, gay, rituals, like everything. So I guess, he put the things that is very important to his life on this drawing. And then it forms a tree, and then there's a face, and the face shout out love. So I was like, wow, you must be an artist. So I asked him on Google Translate. And then he replied to me, no, I'm just a bartender. So I was like, wow. So now you see the magic of drawing, the magic of art, because normally we recognize people by their tag. This person who is a banker, who must be very rich and educated, and this person who is a bartender, so who must just be very ordinary person. But no, people are very different from what they are seen outside. So I was like very amazed by his creativity, but at the same time, I'm amazed by the power of art too. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna continue doing this. So after going back to San Francisco, when I was living in San Francisco at that time, I did this in front of the MoMA Museum. So this time I met this person, who draw the food. So this person is a African American. So he came here. He said, "Yeah, I'm gonna draw my life for you." So he draw this. So I was like, "Yeah, but why did you draw food? Are you a foodie? Why food is so important to you?" So he's like, "Xiaonyng, let me tell you about my story." So he actually wrote this for me. So, hi, my name is Chef Jeff. I was homeless for 3 years at a young age. I was also a new single dad. So he said, when he just came to San Francisco, he felt hopeless because he know nobody. He doesn't know anything about San Francisco. He don't know how to survive. Every time he tries to give up, he look at his son and he's like, yeah, but I'm gonna, just stay up for him. I'm gonna just try to make it for him. So in the end, he joined a program hosted by San Francisco government to kind of educate homeless people, and then he learned how to make food there. And he gave all his passion, all his time, all his energy and love to make food in order to really make it. And in the end, he said, now I'm a well-known chef in the Bay Area. And he wrote the sentence there: "Do not give up, Chef Jeff." So he put his email here. I don't know how many people have watched the movie. What's the English name of the movie? The Pursuit of Happiness. Yes, The Pursuit of Happiness. A lot of people have watched it. It also tells about a single dad black trying to make it in, I think, New York City or San Francisco maybe, as a homeless person, and in the end he become a banker. So I haven't watched this movie at that time, but I was pretty touched by his story, and I was like, yeah, I will try to share your story to more people, so people know when they have difficult time, they don't need to give up, and even if they hold on for a little bit, they will have the light there. But at that time, and because of that, I actually established a website and put all the drawings I've collected in Mexico and San Francisco on the website. It kind of become an online gallery of people's life story. But at the same time, because that day we were just both two strangers to each other, happened to meet each other on the street, but we didn't even, leave contact for each other or, connect in any other ways. It's more like just a meeting by two strangers on the street. But then half a year later, I actually received a friend request on WeChat, which is like a Chinese version of Facebook, by Chef Jeff. I was pretty amazed. I was like, wow, how did you find me? Where did you find me? So I had a conversation with him. So he basically said a friend from China, which by friend he means a stranger to him actually, a person from China emailed me about my emailed me because the person actually saw the story on the Viva La Vida's website about Chef Jeff's story and his drawing. And I was like, wow, so that's so beautiful. So how are you doing now? He said he's cooking for a church in California. And then he said this: I want to thank you so much for just caring about me and my story, about my passion for food and how it saved me. The day I met you will forever stay with me. So I think you can imagine, how much, how touched or how moved I was while reading all those messages. I actually didn't imagine all this happening, the day that I actually met him. I thought that's just a conversation between two strangers, but to equal life, that I'm not trying to help him. I'm just curious about, what is the life of the other person. But then it turns out, what I did kind of healed him a bit. And what he did, actually, he shared the story to other people. And that little girl who actually saw his story and read the email to him is also a very magical person, because come on, there's thousands of people reading, his drawing and his story, but not everybody would read a email to him and contact him. So it feels like, there's a network formed just because of this. People who actually do care about each other, they come together, and they trying to understand each other's story and each other's situation, and they try to care for each other. So this kind of become a turning point for me, that I think I want to continue doing this. I want to, because I think there's a meaning behind it. It kind of create a community of people who actually have the curiosity for life, and who really want to, care and connect to each other. So this is the story of Chef Jeff. And the two story I just mentioned, as the question I asked you before, what do you think is the occupation of the first person tree drawing, remember? And I didn't imagine that he could be a bartender, but he is. And I asked you another question, why does this person actually draw a food as his life? And now you know how much important is the food for him in his life. So another story. So this person, I met him on the street of Havana in Cuba. I was traveling to Cuba at the time, and I was doing this free experiment again. And he saw me, and he said, "Wow, this is pretty cool." And it turns out he's actually a independent film director from the UK. He was also traveling there. He's actually a pretty successful film director. And he said, "Why you are doing art?" And he started to talk about his philosophy about art and this and that. And after almost 30 minutes of talking, I was like, yeah, we'll continue talking, but maybe you want to draw your life first. So I hand over the drawing board and the drawing paper to him and asked him to draw. So he agreed. He sat down and started drawing. He drew for a bit, and he looked at it. He's not really satisfied with his work. So he kind of threw the paper away and asked for another blank paper. So he started draw again. So he draw really carefully, but after a while, he's not really, okay with that as well. So he threw the paper away, get a new paper. So he do this for a time and another time and another time. So in the end, he actually draw 8 times, and he's not okay with it 8 times, and he threw it away 8 times. So the ninth time, he asked for another paper. So I gave him another paper. So he didn't draw. So he stared at the paper for almost 10 minutes, didn't do anything. And then he gave me back the blank paper. So he's like, "Xiaonyng, I really don't know what my life is, after all those efforts to try it." So actually, the moment he said this, I was a bit touched by this. Imagine, when he just came to me on the street, he was like, I know everything. I'm going to talk about my life philosophy, my art philosophy. But then after I hand over him the board and the drawing paper, he's like, yeah, maybe I'm gonna really think about what does life mean to me. And after thinking for a while, he found out actually he didn't have an answer. I guess I was very touched by the power of art, because that was just on the street, and two strangers who never meet each other before, and I hand over the drawing board to him, and suddenly the magic happened, because both of us trying to be authentic. I'm trying to be authentic, and I'm trying to try to understand equally what the other life really, what situation the other life is in. And he's trying to be authentic because he's not the film director who is the best at telling story anymore. He really try to introspect into his heart and trying to understand what life really means to him. So I guess not only does this whole experience of drawing your life would help me to meet a lot of stories like Chef Jeff, or the first Mexican person I met, but also it gave a chance for the person who are actually doing the drawing a chance to reflect on their own and being authentic at the moment. So after this, I try to do this Viva La Vida thing again and again in many different cities, in Beijing, in Singapore, in Paris, in Athens, a lot of different cities. And after a while, I actually started to have a team of people who really just believe in the concept and really want to, spread this message. So we try to form a team and kind of doing this all over the world. So we ask this simple question: what is your life? And from a street experiment in Mexico, it kind of spread it into more than 50 different countries, as this map suggests. And at the beginning, it just a street experiment, but in the end, or at least now, we try to add more technology part into it. So we use the artificial intelligence technology to understand, what people are drawing, and then we kind of extract all those elements that people use to describe life, and do some analysis also regarding the keywords people use to describe life. So for example, on the left is what the English speaker is trying to use to describe life, like love, happy, sad, hard, fast. And on the right side is what the Chinese speaker are used to describe life. So love is a common word, but there's more like freedom and hope and healing, whatever. So we try to understand what is the cultural implication behind it, and we try to understand, the red draw life, what they are actually talking about. So talking about red, remember this drawing? So at the beginning, I asked you guys, does does it draw all those small people, all those figures in red? Is there any reason, why didn't she draw the small people, I don't know, like in green color or in blue color? So this is what she said. I draw a woman who wears red lipsticks, red dress, and red shoes, and rarely you can see women who wear red in Afghanistan, because it said it's a color of attraction, and women need to be modest. But I want to wear everything in red just for myself, not for men. So she is a feminist basically in Afghanistan. She read woman empowerment. So you see in all those drawings, even though those small details, like what color are you using to draw, something actually means something to you, and this is a lot of information to express. So this drawing I also told you is also from Afghanistan, and this person is actually he survived from a war. So he writes here: what scares me, dying for nothing on the road by the hand of extremists. So when I saw this drawing, I was like, wow, there's so much, I don't know, like anger or fear, or there's some negative emotion inside of this drawing. And I actually put this drawing on my blog and asked people, what do you think? Remember, there was a reply. So the person said that, before, when I think about Afghanistan, I always think about all those things I saw on the news, the number of people who died because of the war, all those fires and bombs and this and that. But that all feels remote for me, because it's just on the TV and it's just a bunch of very cold facts and numbers. But now, after seeing this drawing, suddenly, because of this art, I try to understand, what the person who are on the other side of the world really feels. There's so much fear, there's so much struggle. He actually struggled between the life and death every single day in life, and I couldn't imagine what kind of life experience that is. But he's experiencing that, and this art or this drawing or this authentic story of that person kind of really makes me understand what people are experiencing in the remote world. It's not numbers anymore. So I guess from this reply or from this drawing, I started to understand, the thing that we were doing, this ask people to draw their life thing, kind of also become a window for many people to understand what is actually happening on the other side of the world. So this become much more meaningful than just at the beginning, purely a street experiment. And speaking of fire, so we ask people to draw their life, but there's many people who actually draw fire to represent their life. But on the left, there is a drawing we collected from Japan. So you see, there's both fire and both red fire. Actually, they look very similar, but you can feel, the energy they try to convey is quite different. The fire on the right from Afghanistan is more like anger, fear, struggle. But the fire on the left is more like positive, vitality. So it basically rests that, life is like a fire, and you have to really enjoy your life. So really, like, there's much indication that we can find from the drawing itself. And after a while, we did a lot of street experiment, and then Facebook actually invited us to go to their headquarters to share our story, and we did actually a lot of exhibition over the world. And this is the mayor of Salt Lake City, and she actually draw something too. She's from the LGBTQ community, and she's trying to advocate for the right of LGBTQ people. And this is the previous mayor in Houston City, I guess, yeah, in Houston, and she draw her life too. So there's actually many celebrities who did this too. So actually, I wanted to talk about a few takes away of this whole experience. Because at the beginning, I mentioned that I'm talking about this whole thing because I actually want to talk about the notion of future education our generation need. But then you may ask, what does this do with education? It looks like a street experiment. Remember the first question I asked, what is your passion? So that's what I want to talk about. I guess, most of the education we experienced, as a student from primary school up to the college are more about the education of, we got knowledge, we got skill. But rarely there is a chance in the education system that the teacher actually asks you, what is your real passion? What is something that you would do not for the recognition from other people, not from money, just for the joy of doing it. To have the answer of this, you really need to listen to your body and listen to your heart. When we try to make decision, most of the time we try to think about it. We try to listen to our mind, but at the same time, you have to understand that in your mind there's a lot of different voices, and most of the voices are actually from the society, from the people who are around you, because there is a standard in the society that what looks like a good life. So for example, maybe, I don't know, going to a banking industry or going to a high-tech industry, earning a lot of money may sound like happiness from the point of view of the society, but does that really fit into you, right? Because as we know, everybody is different. People say, there's no to live to live. Yes, there's no to live who are the same, and there's to know people who are the same. We all know this, but do you really actually trying to understand who you really are and what is your passion out of the standard that the society trying to pressure you on? And this is your passion, this is your feeling, and this is not convinced by your thinking or your mind. This is convinced by your body, this is convinced by your heart. So I guess because there's many people who ask me, Xiaonyng, how did you find your passion? Why are you sticking to this? How did you make your decision? I always reply by, if you really want to understand what your passion is, you will have to experience more. But after every experience, you will have to ask yourself one simple question: do you feel happy about it? What is your feeling? Stop thinking about, what does this benefit to me? Does this bring me more knowledge, or does this bring me more happy? Does this bring me more money or whatever? Try to understand what is your feeling about it, and are you more happy after doing all this? So this is the first takeaway. When it comes to passion, listen to your body, listen to your heart. So the second takeaway: build up your dream through practice and believe in the magic of time. So as I just mentioned, your passion is something that you really enjoy doing, that you are not doing it for anything else, but just for the sake of doing it or for the joy of doing it. So because you enjoy doing it so much that you were just unconsciously doing it all the time. In my experience, doing this street experiment thing the first time in Mexico, then in San Francisco, then in Cuba, Havana, then in Paris and all the different cities. There's no people forcing me doing it. There's no, I don't even get money from doing it. I spend a lot of money actually doing it, but why I'm still doing it for it looks for nothing because I really enjoy it. And this is your path of building up your dream through just endless practice, doing again and again, because after doing it for many times you will understand what is the nature of this thing. So for example, now I guess I'm a expert of doing a street experiment and convince to people to draw, because I know what is the fear of people before they draw. I've just been doing it so many times, and people say, I can't really draw, especially adult, because they have a fear inside their hearts that they think if they can't draw like reality, they are just a bad painter. But it's not like that, right? As long as you are painting or drawing authentically, this is your drawing. This is your authentic life drawing. So you gotta try to build up your dream through practice, and you have to believe in the magic of time. And here I actually want to share a recent experience in my life that makes me understand this more. So I recently started to kind of practice ballet for a little bit, although I'm already an adult and this is not the best times of doing it, but I really want to, practice ballet. So I remember in the first class when I go to the ballet class, and the teacher, she asked me to do some gesture, and I just couldn't do it. As you know, ballet requires a very soft body to perform all those gestures. I just couldn't. And I asked the teacher, why I couldn't do it. What's wrong with me? Am I doing anything like wrong, or am I doing the right thing? And she said, you are doing the right thing, but it really takes time to actually achieve the extent of the gesture that you really want. So I was like, yeah, but what does that mean? And I remember very clearly after 10 classes, almost, I don't know, like a month, I actually able to achieve much more than I was able to achieve at the first class. And I didn't do anything different. I was just repeating whatever I learned in the first class, but just by repeating it through time, by the magic of time, because you are doing it again and again, and it actually improves, right? So it comes to, there's two type of change in life: qualitative change and quantitative change. So normally we tend to just believe in the qualitative change, and if something is not happens as in the way as we want, we think we're doing wrong, because we always think that either there's right or there's wrong. But indeed, in life, in fact, most of the things you have it by quantitative change, right? There's not like you do it right or do it wrong. You might just be doing it right, but not enough practice. And you have to build up your dream through practice, and you have to believe in the magic of time. So this is my second takeaway of pursuing your passion. And the third takeaway: find out your unique value and believe in it unconditionally. What does this mean? I know a lot of you might still be in the stage of life that you might think, I'm still confused about what I'm really passionate at. I've also been through that time too. I remember when I was in college, because my major was business, so there's many people, who apply for internship in investment banking, consulting firm, etc. And I was very confused too. I was like, yeah, this looks fancy, I might just need to do that as well. So I tried to apply to a lot of consulting internship or investment banking internship as well. But I just remember I was not happy doing it. I actually went into the best bank. I went into Goldman Sachs for internship. I didn't enjoy it at all. Besides that, people think that you are the best person if you really got that job, but I didn't really enjoy it. I was like, yeah, it looks fancy, but at the same time, I was such a replaceable person. I'm doing something that other people are doing at the same time, and other people are able to do at the same time. So, what is my unique value? And if I can't find my unique value, I just feel insecure. Really, like honestly, I just feel insecure. And then I had Viva in the beginning of 2018. And I remember a few months after I started to the first Viva experiment, the street experiment in Mexico. I remember after I had a team, there was a day I started to think, oh, this might be something that I could create for the world uniquely. I was thinking that, if I'm not doing Viva la Vida right now, maybe this whole thing would not, exist in this world. Or maybe it would exist, but after a few decades. So I am really making it happen. I am really making it happen, and this might be my unique value. And I think after thinking about that, I kind of feel more grounded. I feel more secure. I feel more motivated, and to do the things that I should do. And I guess I was just happier because I find my unique value. Although actually you can always have this critical thinking. Does this really happen? Do I really love this? Um, I think in this world, there's actually nothing that you can't question. But I would suggest that after you really find your passion and unique value, you just believe in it. You just believe it. You just try to believe it unconditionally. You just stop questioning everything, because you can question everything, but you wouldn't be happy that way. So I guess this whole experience of started to do the first Viva experiment by accident, and then just have this very subtle feeling that I really love it. So I just unconsciously repeating it through time, and in the end I find out my unique value. It's my passion, or it's my path to pursue my passion. And I guess this is what I wanted to talk about, because we talk about education. I think this is the self education that we have to give to ourselves. And although the school might be able to do this as well, they might have some passion project, or they might have a course to kind of help you to discover your passion. But this is really a very personal path. You have to go through this alone. And I guess that's the only way that you will find your true answer. So yeah, and this one last sentence that I want to really give you guys as a gift. There's nothing more truly artistic than to love people, by Vincent van Gogh. And regarding, because there's people asking how to engage of the Viva activity. So this is the website that we have, and this is my Facebook, Instagram, or my email. I'm welcome to contact me for anything that you need, or if anything I can help. So that's basically it. And I see actually there's a question. Miss Lee, I'm curious, do you draw your life too during the experiment? If so, have your drawing changed during time? Well, this is a very good question, actually. Yes, I did draw my life, but not in the first time. I actually draw my life 3 months after I had my first Viva La Vida experiment. Initially, yes, and this is a very good question. Initially, I draw my life as an ocean, because I was raised by the ocean. I grew up in a town that is close to the ocean, and I think the best form of life should be like water, because water is the softest thing in the world. It's really soft. It could assume any shape of the container, but at the same time, water is the strongest thing. Water is so firm that you can't really break water. So that's why I actually draw my life as a ocean at the beginning. I remember the beginning of this year, I was trying to draw my life again, and this time I draw my life as a zebra. Because last summer, I was actually visiting um, Tanzania. Yes, I was visiting Tanzania. I was doing the safari, and I remember there was one afternoon, actually during the sunset time, and I see a group of zebra trying to migrate. And they actually know there was a lion near them, because they can smell it, but they can't really see it. But they were still really marching, migrating firmly, with the fact that they know the line is nearby. So I feel like there's a sense of firmness, a sense of belief, a sense of faith inside of Deborah. And I wanted to be that zebra as well. So I draw Deborah. So that is a change of my life. And I think, people actually change over time, because it's more a fluidity thing about our understanding of the self and of life. So people will change for sure. So another question. If you yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, so I think that yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Okay, so hi, I'm Shura. I'm from Mexico, actually. So personally, I was very moved for what you said throughout your whole presentation. I was really happy. And well, my question is more directed as you have like visited many countries, 50 and over, as you mentioned. And well, I am very curious about what are the things that you have seen that are the most impactful that people draw in, well, to represent their lives. And the other question related also to that. And as you have traveled to different countries, not only the same one, uh, does does there a patterns? I'm sorry, patterns within each country. The city is different. The city is something unique within every country. Yeah.
Yeah, that are actually two good questions. The first question, I think I mentioned this here. Let me find it out. So we actually did a pretty precise statistic about what people draw about their life. So this is based on the first 1,000 drawing we collected. So you can see when people talk about their life, 327 people talk about use the figure, small people to talk about life, and I think that's understandable. And then people use heart, and then people use star, and then people use flower, and then tree, and then bird. So there's a few patterns that we would say. I would say love is a very well mentioned word, as here you can say love in both English and Chinese. So yeah, I guess when we talk about not only I don't know, in religion, but also just in real life, we talk about love all the time. And for your second question, that's actually a very good question too. Different country, there's different pattern. I find out in cities that are more like business based, finance based, like Hong Kong, like Singapore, people tend to just don't have time for this kind of activity. They just wouldn't stop for this. And even if they stop, they would draw things very simple, like, I don't know, like even I remember there's people draw money, draw coin or draws like big building. But in countries like, yeah, Mexico, Cuba, Argentina, I love Latin American, by the way. There's just much more variety, much more creativity, much more colorfulness there. And I remember when I was in Mexico, actually people draw mountain to represent their life a lot. I think there's a meaning, cultural meaning behind it, but I didn't. Maybe you can tell me what's the cultural meaning behind it.
Behind the mountains.
Mountain.
Well, Mexico is a very, well, you can find within every state a mountain. So maybe, well, I don't know. I don't really have the exact answer, but from my experience and from my culture, I would say that many uh like indigenous communities, Mexico has many communities and vulnerable indigenous communities. Um they live within the mountains. So maybe that is something related to the culture and the ancestors from for the Mexicans. Maybe is that.
Yeah, I also like
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. I also like
Yeah,
to add
please.
the fact that
Sorry.
some of the first the native, the Indian people, they use mountain very spiritual. The mountain used to have very spiritual meaning. That's they went there to pray their god and stuff like that. So and because of that, it plays a very important role in their lives. Mountains.
Wow, thank you, guys. That's good to know. I guess, yeah, because I saw a lot of mountain in Mexican's drawing. And there's another thing in Mexican's drawing, another pattern too, that people draw heart, but not heart in this way, but heart like a real heart, like a real human heart, that form. But I guess that's maybe because I did the first experiment in front of Frida Kahlo's museum. I guess that may be her influence as well, because I remember she would draw a heart like that. But yeah, there's a lot of pattern, very interesting. If you're interested, you can actually go to the website, and because all the drawing are kind of organized by city, so you can actually click on the name of the city and see the drawing. So you would find some pattern yourself too.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Hi guys, so we still have time for you doing some more questions. So again, you can turn on your cameras, you can turn on your microphone, so we can have a better interaction. Do you have any more questions, guys?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, first I am Mariana. I'm from Colombia and I am 16 years old. And the question I had is that you named that we have to be very passionate about something. But do you think that is there the chance that us people can be passionate about two or more things that are completely different? For example, I am passionate really about a social skill, like defending people, standing up for people, but I also have a passion for kind of the arts thing, mostly in dance and everything that has to go to that way. So do you think that I may be misunderstood, or is it possible to have two passions that you really care about and you have the same feeling for it?
No, actually, no. There's no misunderstanding. I think it's great that you actually find out you have more than one passion, and that is absolutely possible. And actually, that's beautiful. And what I would encourage you is try to find if there's any underlying similarity or connection between all your patterns, all your passions, because there might be something like, for example, you mentioned about people and about dancing. And as we know, arts, dance, and they're more about feeling. And, the way we actually understand another person is might also be, through feeling as well. So rough example, but I think you might be able to find out more underlying similarity or connection under that, and I think that will give you a deeper understanding of what you are really passionate about, and maybe you are able to find more based on that similarity, underlying similarity.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I see there's written question. Do
I
you
have a
think we can
question.
change the world? Yeah, please. Who wanted to ask a question? Yeah, please.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Yogashri and I'm from India. I'm 12 years old. I have a question like, how can one change their lowest point into a life changing point? How can one change that lowest point into a life changing point, making it a lot more positive? How can one do that?
Let me just clarify your question. Are you asking how can one change from the lowest points, like the difficult time? Is that your question?
Yeah.
So are you facing any difficulty, or like what's the reason for this question? Did you hear me?
Like a negative one.
Okay, I guess maybe there's some internet issue, but yeah, I understand this question. Actually, I want to share one of my experience on this topic too. That remember I started Viva La Vida January 2018, right? And 3 months after that, in April 2018, I started to have depression, and it was actually a pretty severe depression that I even had suicidal thoughts. So I didn't know how to deal with it. Honestly, I was in San Francisco then, and what I did all day is I just walk on the street because walking makes me feel a bit better. But what I remember is, although I was depressed at that time, I still have the ability to feel, to have a bit feeling about how I am doing. So, for example, doing something make me happier, and doing something make me just feel sad. And this is the only thing I actually had because, as when you are depressed, your brain doesn't really work normally. And at the time, I actually had pressure of I needed to find an internship within a month. Otherwise, I will be kicked out from my dorm, and I don't even know where to stay. I was under huge pressure because it's not really easy for a person who doesn't code and who is not a native speaker to find an internship in San Francisco. But I really remember what I did is I just felt happy doing Viva La Vida at the time. And I did not feel that happy to search for a job. Although most of the people at the time, even my mentors and my friends and my teachers, they would tell me that, Xiaonyng, try to find a job now first. And after, you find a job and you have a money, and then, you would be able to do some spare things like Viva La Vida. But I just didn't understand why at that time I was just spending a lot of time doing Viva La Vida every day. I spent more time doing Viva La Vida than I spent time doing the job searching thing. But it is because of the persistent at that time. Because if I follow other people's suggestion, I would just give up. I would just give up doing Viva La Vida. I would just, put all my attention into job searching. But because I actually listen to how I feel, I listen to my body, I listen to my intuition, I insist on doing it, I persist. And that's the only reason why I can actually be here to talk about this whole thing tonight. So I would say that, sometimes other people, they try, they are good people. They are really trying to give you some good suggestion, but they are not you. They don't really know what makes you really happy. They don't know what works the best for you. Not even your teacher, not your parents, not the society, but only you, because you are the only person who feel what is really inside of there. So I guess what I would say is, during the difficult time, although it's really tempting to listen to other people's advice, especially when you are struggling, but really believe in what you really feel, believe in your intuition, and you are just gonna get it through. Like, everything is, it's more like there's no real difficulty in life. If you perceive the difficulty just within the time frame of right now, and maybe, I don't know, like a month from now or a year from now, that may look like a difficulty. But if you perceive the difficulty with the time frame of your whole life, it has to have a meaning. Every difficulty, all the experience that you would have a meaning. So really just experience it and listen to your heart.
Hi, can I say my question?
Yeah, please.
If I remember, first of all, I'm Mahdir. I'm from Iran and I'm 16. If I remember in agenda that I see, your conference is about future of education. That's right. So I have one.
Yeah, about education. Yeah.
Okay, why we don't make a one organization to improve our education in the world? For example, we can make one organization that Teachers Opinion Association, and every teacher from all the country come to and say their opinion. Why we don't do that?
Can you tell me a bit more about your thoughts? Why do you think that's necessary, or why do you think we should do this?
Because when we see the top 100 university in the world, we see that 20 of them from USA, and 17 of them from England, and 7 of them from South Korea. So in the scientific, actually some country is better than from another country, so we can use from experience of that country to improve all of the scientific in one level. For example, if one country now it's this level and another country in high level, we can improve all and improve it all of the country in one level.
Mm-mm.
Why? We,
Yeah, first of all, I think this is a thought, because always connect with people who are doing the similar things and learn from the past experience is very necessary, because it just help you to avoid those mistakes that people have made in the past and have paid their cost. So I think, if you're really passionate about doing this, just go and do it, and I believe you're gonna make it. But at the same time, what we also need to know is that, although those are the past experience, but it doesn't really mean that you will go on the same path, or the past experience would fit into your own experience. So I guess listening to other people's advice and experience is important, but at the same time trying to understand what is your situation and what is the difference between your situation and their situation, and what does that lead to, how much you would listen to the other people's advice and experience is also very important. So I think that part of critical thinking would be something that is significant for you if you want to establish a organization like that. But yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
I would like to just say a few words on that. Yes, you did mention that some of the best universities seems to be in the United States and then UK, and they are using. You also have to look at the metrics they are using. Okay, I know. I'll just to use an example. Everybody, in terms of knowing one country is doing well, go with something called a GDP, right? GDP, but uh, as a human being, you've heard from the previous speakers and others that say what is more important in life is that the financial status of the country. Not necessarily. There's a country that came out with the index of happiness. It's just one country that started that, and more you are seeing people evaluating the area where people are living, not just by the GDP, but also by some other metrics. So we need to find out what is more important for you, because you have some of the worst people coming from the best universities, and some of the best people in the world coming some of the university that nobody knows. So you take from university what you want. We are all individual. So at the same time, it's good to have some of some umbrellas of people coming and sharing, but it's also sometimes it's good to have some unicity, because you are one and your contribution to the world will be unique. So, you can go ahead and work with some other people, collaborate and things like that. But don't just because we tend to have the best university in the US doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go through this university, or they're always doing the best people. So use the metric that you want. Okay, I'm one of those that has been coaching for the longest time. I've been going to China. I see all the parents want to ask me, they want to send their children to the best school. I said, that please forget about that. Okay, just make your student, your child, be the happiest person they could be in life. And being happy doesn't mean that you have to come from the best school, but you learn something, you are passionate, just like she said, Mrs. Xiaonyng said, it's about finding your passion in the world. I think that's, for me, is more important, because you have a most fulfilling life. Thank you.
Can I say something short?
Yes.
I don't want to say, I think it was misunderstanding. I don't say the people of United States or UK or South Korea is good. I say that in the scientific are good. For example, exactly all of the country are good, but I mean in scientific, some country is better than
Yeah.
other country. But I mean that not all of the people of no, it's misunderstanding. And if you think that, sorry of that, and I mean that another thing is scientific.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good. Another question. Good. Okay, thank you.
So I have a question. Can I ask?
Sure.
Yeah, please.
So, hi, and I'm Setayesh from Iran, and I'm 14. First of all, thanks for your great presentation. And then I wanted to ask you, why don't you analyze the drawings you have and do a research on how your like social level affects your life and affects what you think of your life? I mean, you have lots of data related to that, and why don't you do a research on these things and like help the UN maybe?
Yeah, thanks for your question. Actually, that's what I wanted to do before because, as you said, we have a lot of data, and we actually try to work with people. Because the thing is, I'm not a sociologist, right? I'm not the expert of I don't know, like I analyze all those, especially like image data. But at the same time, I would love to. I would be willing to share all the data with anybody who would want to do some scientific research out of it and trying to, I don't know, just make a better, um, you know, have something, have some, have something come out of it as something that could benefit the society. So I guess, doing research means that you actually do have a research question. So for example, I don't know, a question like what's the implication of different element that people use to draw their life, or I don't know, like does the I don't know, like the positivity of life attitude influenced by the socio-economic situation of the country, etc. So if you would have some questions that in mind that you want to do research, maybe we can talk about this a bit later after this.
Yeah, of course, I would like to.
Yeah.
Okay,
And you
thank
have
you.
my email there, so I'll write my email here too. So if you wanna contact me, you
Thanks.
can do it.
And something we've done here during the summer camp. Okay, this is the first time we are doing online again, so it's kind of trial and error. But in the past, when we have a student that has a bright idea like this, we sometimes let them lead projects. So if you even doesn't matter if you are in Iran or whatever, I talk to your group facilitators or your chair, they could coordinate with you and find say, some few other delegate that would like to join this initiative. And before you know, you may have a project, that's coming out of this presentation, and we'll be happy to follow up. And you have some connections, some people that professional that may also help down the road. But it's good when it's led by young people. So that'll be a good project for you to lead. Mhm.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I would love to support too. Just let me know.
Wonderful. Yes. Okay. Ms. Xiaonyng, it's just a great pleasure for me to meet with you. We don't know what's going to happen after this pandemic. I can't wait for the borders to get open again for life, because I've been going to China for the last 10 years, even more, at least a couple of times, at least sometimes 6 times a year, even sometimes more. So it's a country that I love, I know, and I can't wait to get back. Our coordinator for China, representative in China, Jolene has told me a lot about you, and I'm really happy that you actually deliver. I'm very, very happy you were part of this initiative. And like I said, once you join us for one program, you are part of the family. So welcome to the family. I'm happy to present this official citation from the state of. Yeah, you're welcome. The state of Maryland, the headquarters of UNESCO Center for Peace here in Frederick, Maryland, and our elected official from the city hall all the way to the federal government are 100% behind us. And that's why they're writing a citation for you, because they know that we are the reason we are able to do this, because we have people like you that will volunteer their time, their expertise to share with the I used to say next generation leaders, but the leaders that are with us today. Okay, so thank you very much. And the next thing, we also have a team that's waiting for you in studio for a personal interview. So yeah, yeah. But anyway, what we can do is that we can do that and then send the interview by I don't know. You can download it and work something out. Okay. Okay. So okay. Okay. Then okay. Go ahead and work something out. What's the next activity? Do you have next speaker ready? What? Xiaonyng, we're going to give us a few minutes. I know it's getting late, too late over there, but we are going to get. We are going to in the next 5 minutes. We'll be reaching out to you. We initially actually set up an interview to be StreamYard, but it looks like it's not available over there. So give us a couple of minutes. We are going to work out something very quickly and get back with you. Okay.
It's actually okay. I have VPN. I can access anything.
Okay, let's do it the way we schedule. Okay, we're gonna send you the link. We do it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everything, and I'm glad to join this family. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, bye bye.
Bye.
Okay. Goodbye.
Don't miss it.
Nice day.
Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.